Hi, I'm Doug Marshall, partner with Marshall Valissis. Today I have the privilege of speaking with Michael Beck about business owner successor development and recruiting. Michael is an executive strategist and president of Eliciting Excellence. It's a firm specializing in the recruiting, assessment, and development of successors. He and his team work with the leaders who will be taking over the running of a company in order to improve their interpersonal skills, sharpen strategic thinking, and enhance their judgment. His firm offers assessments, executive coaching, and successor recruiting, all designed to help successors succeed and owners get paid. Hey, Michael, good to see you. No owner turns over the keys of their business to a successor unless they feel that that successor is ready. And yet we find many successors struggle. So why is that?
Good question, Doug. And by the way, thanks for chatting with me today. I think there are two main reasons. One is that there are four stages of development of a person in a business. And I think that owners typically stop after the second stage. So let me explain briefly. The first stage is where they're a contributor. They're learning how to do the work and they're doing the stuff. And the second stage is where they manage the work and they can become really good at making sure all the work gets done regardless of who's doing the work. And often that's where owners stop because they can see that that successor knows how to run the business. The problem is they haven't gone to the other two stages, one being learning how to be a leader and learning how to be an owner. And so, you're talking about competencies that need to be developed, like influence, strategic thinking, conflict resolution, having a vision for a bigger thing, being a bit broader in their perspective. And so, and there are actually a number of traits, but you get the sense of what I'm talking about. The second thing is that, oddly enough, if you think about it, it's almost impossible for an owner to develop their own successor. And here's why. I mean, there are all these interpersonal dynamics. I mean, if you think about it, the owner is trying to develop somebody, and that person is responding to the individual who's going to decide whether they take over or not. And so there's a strange dynamic that takes place there, and history and all this other stuff. Secondly, is that everybody has blind spots, and neither the owner nor the successor can actually see some of the things that are being missed. The third thing, I mean, if you stop and think about it, everybody has an agenda. People either want things to stay the same or they want things to change. It includes the owner, the successor's spouse, perhaps, coworkers. And so they lack objectivity. And then the other two things are kind of practical. It takes some time to develop somebody, and normally everybody, including the owners, is a little too busy. And then it takes a certain skill set to develop somebody. I mean, I've developed my skill set over 20 years of executive coaching.
Right.
And so those are the reasons I think that happens.
So you mentioned that it takes a lot of time. How long does it usually take to effectively prepare a successor?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. There's the simple answer and then the real answer.
Okay.
The simple answer is, about 6 to 12 months. I've found that when somebody is poised to take over and they're sharp, we can hone their competencies, the ones that need development, in about 6 to 12 months. Here's the problem. The problem is that if they're the wrong person, no amount of coaching is going to help. And I just had a client recently where he wanted his brother to take over, and I agreed to coach the brother. And after about 3 months, I had a conversation with the owner, and I said, "You cannot put him in charge. He is not of the right demeanor to be running the company." And of course, the owner said, "Yeah, I kind of expected you were going to say that." And so, ultimately, by the way, what happened is I'm coaching the owner on how to get more stuff off his plate, delegate more, and develop people. But the point is, it's better to start sooner than later, because if you've gotten the wrong person, that introduces another whole set of challenges.
Yeah, those are all great points. But let's say that an owner doesn't have a successor and needs to find one. How long does it usually take to find the right person?
Again, right on the heels of our last chat here, either they find that they thought they had the right person and they don't, or maybe they wanted to sell the business and they can't find a buyer. And rather than shut the doors, let's put a good person in as a successor, get them developed up, and they can take over. So there's, again, the short answer and the long, real answer. The short answer is we have a specialty in recruiting successors and seem to be able to do it in about 3 or 4 months. We can find the right person.
Okay.
And we have a very good success rate. Here's the other answer. Many years ago, I had a client, a husband and wife team who owned a very successful business, and they were looking at retirement. And so what they did was they hired a COO, brought somebody in with good industry experience with the intent that they would mentor them. I would coach the person to hone the other skills that we talked about. The couple was a little challenging to work with.
Okay.
After about 9 months, he quit. So they go off and they hire another COO, not including me in this process, but they decided they knew what they needed. Brought another guy on board. The very same thing happened. 9 months into it, I'm coaching him. They're mentoring him, and he ups and quits. And so they decide to hire yet another COO, still not involving me. And the great credentials. I mean, they were excited, brought this guy on. Anyway, the short version of this is that, and really, believe me, this is a long version with him. The short version is things got so bad, they actually had me come to their facility. They're out of state, interview employees because they couldn't believe the stories they were hearing. Turns out all those negative stories were true. They ended up having to fire the guy. The moral of the story is 3 years into the process, they still didn't have a successor. So how long does it take? It depends if you know what you're doing, right? But again, the moral of the story is better to start sooner and have somebody well in advance than start at the very end and find out, oh my God, I don't have it right.
No. Those are great examples, great stories to share.
Thank you.
And that is, it's important to think about what's going to happen, when you're walking out of the business and who's going to take over.
You bet.
Well, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you spending the time. This is some great information that I hope to pass along to some business owners and to let them know that they ought to be thinking about this stuff. And we'll be in touch soon.
Great. And thanks, Doug, and keep up your good work as well.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye now.